Y'all ready for this?
Pretty close. Pretty close. What's up, guys? This is Testing Normal number 38. This is Curtis.
This is Jordan.
And this is a podcast where we talk about anything and everything we want to.
You know what I did?
What?
I left my sound on my phone.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Every week.
I did that every once in a while.
Damn week, Jordan.
As everyone knows, we have a super cool guest here tonight.
We do indeed.
So cool
Yes,
that we asked him to come back again.
For round 2, ding ding, Mr. Derek. Derek, I can't remember what's your last name. Clevenger.
Mayor of Aumsville.
Mayor of Aumsville.
Yep.
And yeah, we're stoked to have him on. Stoked to shoot the shit with him. Talk about life.
Yeah. We, to be real, we did reach out and ask for questions from people. And this is how many I got from people posting it in a lot of different places. Even texting people would not get questions, which either says one thing or a few things, that you're a super scary guy or that people are really scared to ask questions.
Well, I think that they don't, maybe some people don't know what is all going on probably as well.
Well,
Some of the
alternative option.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just really good at answering their questions
True.
before they get to you.
That's a good
There you
one.
go.
Yeah.
Probably
There
not
you
the
go.
case.
If you
but-
guys, even if you don't live in Aumsville, I recommend you follow Derek's page because it's super fun. And it's really how today happened. I think I saw something pop up on yours and I was like, oh, there's like a spelling error. I like it when people point that out to me.
Mhm.
I'll let him know. And then I was like, what is this video about? I'm like, holy crap, there's more stuff going on in Aumsville. Like this teeny tiny town that's like, you know, it's not like nothing.
Population 2,000?
4,000.
4,000. Okay.
I think the official estimate right now is 4,057, but what's on the sign coming into town is like
38.
3890
Yeah,
and
I
some
think
change,
that's-
something like that.
Okay. How often does that get updated, those signs?
Well, the signs,
Because I feel like
I don't know, like
not
I feel,
very frequently.
I
At
don't
least in
really
our
pay
town.
attention to the sign on it. Like I know
Satan's was a few years ago. It got rounded down. It was 7815 and
Yeah.
now it's 7800 even.
Oh, really?
The
Yeah.
actual census happens every 10 years, but I don't know how often
Yeah.
they're going and updating that
I had a
sign.
census person come to my house the other day
Yeah.
during a UFC fight, and
really?
I told him to go away.
Priorities, bro.
Right in the middle of the Khabib fight, and they're
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Hey, I came to ask you something." I was like,
Nope.
"I'm going to stop you right there.
You put your hands
I'm
on her
going-
lips. You're like, shh.
I'm going to answer no questions."
You can stay and watch the fight, or
You
you can
can
leave.
stay.
But either way, we're not talking right now.
We're not going to do this right now, okay? And she's like, "Well, is this your address?" I was like, "You're here." Yes. Like,
She's like, am I talking to a real person?
like
You make
what's
that
going
call.
on right now? Like,
You make that call, madame.
government officials. What are you going to do?
That's really funny. Jordan.
Oh, okay. So, first topic.
All right.
I want to know, like, and maybe you can or can't say, but you put out a video today. I was just telling you that I did indeed watch it. I don't live in Aumsville, but again, it's super entertaining.
Mm.
You put out this video because you were speaking out because there were people complaining about the Aumsville PD.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be super straight. I've complained about Aumsville PD a few times, but it's because I get pulled over, and usually it's probably because I should get pulled over. But I haven't been pulled over in a really long time. But the main thing was that you had people that were complaining that they were on the highways, and then they were also complaining that they weren't there for an accident on Golf Club Road,
Well, so and
which is outside of Aumsville as well.
I'm sure the person who posted the thing about Golf Club Road will probably see the video, and it's nothing against her.
Yeah.
You know, first and foremost, we live in a fantastic country where you can complain about the police.
True.
Because there's places where you can't do that.
Very
so
true.
it's pretty
well,
cool
you
that
can,
we can.
you just
Good
get
point.
killed.
Yeah, you're going to get shot up for it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you know, even back when the recall and everything was happening, there were people tried to twist the sentiment of the recall into being something that was like anti-police.
Right.
And unfortunately, there are some people that kind of like latched onto that. And so
the
now,
recall for the previous mayor or the previous council?
the previous city council.
Right,
The,
okay.
the previous mayor did not get recalled. He lost the election to me.
Right.
Right.
But you know, and I said from day one, like I'm not anti-cop. At the time, I was dating, living with one. Like I'm pretty pro-cop for the most part. The main purpose of that post is I saw people who commented on that post, and I've seen those same people like create other posts. And so one day they'll be complaining like, "Oh, why is Aumsville PD sitting on Highway 22 giving out tickets? They should be inside, you know, the city limits
Right.
and actually working inside the city." And then the very next day, there's a wreck out on Golf Club Road or whatever, and someone calls and they're like, well, why didn't Aumsville PD show up? They should be helping out. Which the fact of the matter is, those calls don't even make their way to Aumsville PD.
Right.
Like the way that all happens, like it goes to Marion County.
Yeah. The only time I ever see them over there is when they're like driving over to get lunch or something.
Or people have complained about like, oh, why are they helping to respond to calls in Staten or in Turner? Well, we have a mutual aid agreement. Like it's very much like treaties between countries. Like we're obligated to respond if we have someone available.
Too.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why. Yeah, it's strange to me that somebody would automatically, like, if it wasn't, was this person involved in the accident?
Well, so this person, and again, my video was not against her in any way whatsoever.
Sure.
It was just against the sentiment that people were posting on there. And what had happened, to my understanding, was there was an older female who, she drove off the road. This girl who posted saw the wreck happen, got out, helped her out. They called 911.
Oh, okay.
And the dispatcher was kind of like, well, is anybody hurt?
Right.
No. Like, okay, call a tow truck.
Yeah.
And so she had posted something saying, I'm really disappointed in Aumsville PD.
Gotcha.
And I believe that post has since been deleted by her. But it was something that, a lot of people immediately jumped on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, F Aumsville PD.
So that makes, it's not unique to Aumsville in particular, though, and you probably already addressed this in the video, but even in Salem, like, the police will not respond to an accident unless there was like a significant enough injury,
or an actual crime,
that had taken place. So like even like it's not unique to Aumsville. No, majority of cities police force are not showing up for that anymore.
Yeah,
Correct.
accidents happen quite often.
Yeah, like literally the dispatcher is going to ask, like, is anybody hurt?
Right.
And is the car in the middle of the road?
Right.
No. Okay, cool. Bye-bye. Call a tow truck.
Yeah.
Like that's the mindset.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I know, because I think the mindset has changed, because it used to be police. When I was younger, and I think like middle school, I do recall being in an accident, and it wasn't anything crazy, but police would show up. But I think that just has resources and whatever budgets get adjusted, I think that there's not the same response for that sort of thing. But
we asked the same question. When you post the video, and I was listening to it, I was like, we asked the same question. Like, our curiosity was, why is Aumsville PD at the top of the hill coming over the hill down towards Aumsville? And you gave us the response of,
it's a grant thing.
It's a grant thing. Like, they make money. It's because of the lack of patrol, yada yada yada. And I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's agreement. I believe it is between us and Marion County. It could be us and state police, but I'm pretty sure it's Marion County. And it's just, there's a section of 22 like, hey bro, we'll handle the tickets over there, and they give us a chunk of money for helping out.
Right.
And the only time we send people over there is like, usually it's our reserve guys, or we have someone else like hanging out.
To be quite honest, I haven't seen them up there.
Yeah. It's been a while.
I drive it like,
seems like it's been a little while.
I'm on there twice a day at least, and I haven't seen it in probably 6 months. So
which I'm okay with personally. Yeah. I can then drive, carefree. So I had seen a post of your picture in front of a poster, and it had like your head with the crossed out X or circle.
Oh yeah.
When was that?
That was actually during the campaign.
Okay, that was during the campaign.
So
okay,
I registered to run.
I'll see if I can find those.
Yeah, let's see if we can find that pic.
A couple of days later, we had the Aumsville Saturday Market, and it was the last one. And I was like, oh, whatever, I'll get a booth and some signs and whatever. And so I'm sitting there, and somebody came up, and I didn't know this booth was like kind of back behind me.
Was this was recent? Or?
No. This was
when you were running
last September when I was running.
And they're like, different than what you sent me the other day.
No,
they're like, hey, there's someone who has this like anti-Derek Clevenger booth over there, and I was like, really? That's awesome. And so I went and took like selfies with it, because that's who I am. But that was actually, remember before we talked about how like they had formed this PAC, and that was like the money source behind trying to
so crazy
keep me from getting elected and other people and everything. It was that PAC who had like set up
how big of a PAC are we talking about?
I believe the last I looked at it, they had spent something like $14,000 on that election. Like, it was not.
But how many people were involved in that? Like, because
you can actually look it up. We can actually go to the elections website, and it'll show, like, because they have to disclose their financials. I think at last count there was something like 10 or 12 donors, something along those lines.
So those are some pretty substantial donors to just basically run against you.
Well, and the donors realistically were people who were involved in previous city governments, previous administrations. It was one of the former mayors. It was one of the city councilors' dad. There was another family that's been around in town that's been there forever, and so it was a small group, but there was definitely some money behind it. But
Right.
so they set up this booth, and really it looked like a fifth grader's science fair project.
Oh, it does.
But
It really does.
You know,
I really need to
they
find
had the
this.
picture of me
you
with
gotta
the
find
circle
it.
and the line
look
through
at your
it.
text. Can you,
And,
or I can text you it too.
Immediately, I was just
Yeah.
like, that is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But they had actually they had this flyer they were handing out too, and I got a good laugh.
Oh,
out
wait,
of it.
I
I think
found
there's the flyers on there too. They talk about since I don't go by my real name on Facebook, and they're like, these are his known aliases. I'm like, you guys aren't very good because you only found 2, and there's probably about 10 of them.
That's
But
great.
they had also put on there that all of the news coverage
Okay, see the
leading up to the recall and through the campaign and everything was not real news, that it was fake news, and I paid.
They actually used the term fake news.
Yes, they
It's a
did.
risky
This
move
was
right
before.
now.
Was this before Trump?
Did this
Aumsville start fake news. That's
this
what I
was-
want to know.
This was after Trump.
This was after.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
dang. Okay, I was gonna say, man, he got that.
I was gonna
from
be super
Aumsville. He
stoked.
got it from Aumsville.
But yeah, so they claimed it was fake news, and that I paid the Statesman Journal to run like all the news. And so I
Here
contacted
we go.
Statesman Journal, and I was like, "Hey guys,
So
just so you
amazing.
know, like
Look at this, guys.
this pack is producing
So good.
Look at that.
documentation that
That's so
specifically
good.
states
Hilarious.
you have been paid to run articles on me."
Yeah.
And so my understanding, I don't know whether it's actually true or not. I was told that Statesman Journal actually contacted this pack and like sent them a cease
Interesting.
and desist letter, and they were like, "Mm-mm."
That's super interesting. That's super interesting. I like how they use like what is that, Calibri? They use
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like
Wait,
like
so-
middle school font.
Is this the one
you
you're
know?
talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
The
So
known
if you-
aliases?
If you look at the bottom down there, it says not real news, and that's where they claim that I paid the Statesman Journal to run some of the articles.
It was not.
It was
true
not
news.
true
A
news.
Not
paid for
true
news article about him and his politics. It was not true news. And so yeah, I contacted Statesman Journal. Was like, "Hey guys, this is what people are saying about
Here's
you."
what there's like when I was reading through these, I was like, okay, this last statement, political party. He wants, quote, the mindset of a libertarian for our city and state.
Right, but why would
Like,
they
how's that a
automatically
bad
assume that's a
thing?
derogatory thing?
Yeah.
No,
Like,
no,
yeah.
yeah. Let's stop and talk
What?
about that for a second. What? Why is that bad?
You know, and I think because Aumsville is such like a small rural community, there are quite a few people that have more conservative values. Now that is changing.
But some libertarians
like
do.
socially conservative.
Yeah, socially conservative. And so I think that was them seizing on trying to imply like, oh, you know, he's not a Christian or he's not a conservative or something along those. Because
Right.
realistically, if you look at the previous administrations and the previous city councils and planning committees and everything else, a vast majority of them all came from that one church in town. So
Oh, that's interesting.
I think part of it is, you know, that sounding board that they had, like the only people that they're talking to are other people in their church.
Yeah.
And so their idea of a derogatory statement about me is like, well,
Right.
whoa, he's a libertarian.
It's their confirmation
Yeah.
bias.
Oh no.
I was like, like when I saw that, I was like, wait, I don't see that as like a derogatory thing. I also don't like. I don't see it as a derogatory term when someone says they're a Democrat. Like,
Yeah, no.
like if they're picking an affiliation, that doesn't mean that they're a bad person.
And like I don't
I mean, it could mean that
care.
they're a bad person, but
Yeah.
I would say there's just as many bad Republicans
Yeah.
as there are bad Democrats, and
Exactly.
as there are bad libertarians.
Mhm. Like I don't care like what someone's political party is. Like when I have political discussions with people, the only thing I care about is, can you intelligently explain to me why you believe what you believe?
Right.
Like if you believe that we need to have, Medicare for all, or we need to have universal basic income or whatever, as long as you can intelligently articulate, this is why I believe that, we're cool. And at the end of the day, if we need to, agree to disagree. What bugs me is when you talk to someone and they're like, guns are bad.
Right.
Okay, well, why are guns bad? Well, because I live in Portland and that's what everyone believes.
Yeah.
No, we're not having this conversation.
Yeah, that's not a conversation.
Yeah.
Dude, that is actually really interesting. Let's talk about the political perspective a little bit that you have on universal health care. As a libertarian, I guess. Or I don't know. Do you identify as a libertarian even?
Yeah, I do.
I was gonna say, do
'Cause
you
I was
or
like,
did they identify you
I
as a
don't wanna-
libertarian?
I don't want to assume that they are saying even the right thing because I don't even know.
I'm registered independent.
Okay.
I would say libertarian, like lowercase L.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I like that. Yeah.
I think that most people that are in our age are gravitating towards the they're like lowercase
Yeah.
letter of something,
Yeah.
but they're not hardcore towards anything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Like I, it's the little meme that people see on Facebook or whatever. But like, I want to go to like my two gay friends' wedding while conceal carrying.
Yeah.
And when we're done, we're all gonna smoke pot together. Like I don't care what anybody does. If you want to identify as a head of lettuce and marry your dog and shoot straight gasoline into your veins in your garage, have at it.
Yeah.
That's none of
Yeah.
my business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you come and try and do that in my garage, we got a problem. Why
Right.
are you in my garage?
Yeah.
Right.
But outside of that, I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into a little rabbit trail here with your views on universal healthcare. I myself working in healthcare have particular views about it, but I want to talk to somebody that's actually had some
You're
type
not
of.
standing up for me here.
My dad?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, my uncle who's on here,
Oh.
who was a Republican state representative. He can correct me if I'm wrong.
He's calling.
He said,
you-
"Whoa, bad Republicans? Ha 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 ha." And
Yeah.
Curtis says, "I know, right?" WTF, mate?
So no one's perfect. So,
Wow.
just joking. So having some, administrative, financial, complete views as far as running a city. Obviously, you're not making calls on healthcare. Essentially.
Spoiler alert: my MBA is in healthcare administration.
Oh,
Sweet.
okay, perfect. There you go. So we'll have a great conversation about this then. What, as having this, background now in politics, how has that impacted your view? Has it changed anything on the concept of a socialized healthcare program?
The politics at a local level are so small that it hasn't really changed any of my views.
Doesn't
of
even really
anything
affect
politically.
towards that.
Yeah, when I look at universal healthcare as a whole, like I make the same joke as every other veteran. Like, go to the VA.
Yeah.
Go to the VA, and then that'll change your mind on
I will
universal
say
healthcare.
they have gotten better.
They have, but I mean, the bar was set really low to begin
The bar
with.
was set really low.
No, and it's one of those things that it would be fantastic if we could do that. But if you look at healthcare as a whole, you have a triangle between cost, access, and quality,
Right.
and those three things are all competing with each other.
Right.
And so if you take the dial and you crank it all the way up on access and all the way down on cost, your quality is inevitably going to get lower. If you take quality and you crank it all the way up, your cost is going to go all the way up with
Right.
it, but your access is going to go down. And so it's a fine balance. I have no problem with taking the typical libertarian volunteerism and action mindset when it comes to healthcare. I think realistically, groups of semi-intelligent human beings can cobble together and do things better than the government can 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, totally agree as far as the cost and quality correlation there. I think that the issue is when it comes to providing healthcare, I frequently see the ramifications of chronic conditions that are not treated early on, then costing significantly more later on, and having compounding interest on that cost.
Yeah.
And I've experienced treating somebody with a condition, if they can get access to that healthcare, prevent long-term issues down the road.
Yeah.
And so I think in particular, I think that I have like a level of empathy for a socialized healthcare program, specifically maybe for like 18 and under specifically.
Yeah.
Because it's not the kid's fault if the parents are idiots
Garbage.
and don't understand how to well, Jordan and I had a conversation the other day about diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and how there's a skyrocketing cost in insulin right now. And how you go to Canada, insulin's like $10 a vial, and you here right now you're like at 100.
Well, did you hear
Well,
that Colorado just passed is the first state to have capped insulin costs?
See, but even that, like from again going back to the libertarian mindset, even that, anytime you set price floors and price ceilings, you are negatively impacting that microeconomy. If we look at why is insulin so expensive, look at our regulatory policy with pharmaceuticals. One, the U.S. government has created a monopoly between about 5 companies, and they
That is
own
the
all.
problem.
all pharmaceuticals in the United States. We don't import pharmaceuticals. We will re-import. So if we sell something to Canada, they want to sell it back, we'll do that. But I can't buy at a U.S. store insulin that was made in Canada, with very few exceptions.
Right.
And so what we've created is a monopoly, and then within that monopoly, there's very little competition. And any organization that could actually compete with these U.S. companies, with these pharmaceutical companies in the United States, they're not even allowed in the market.
Right.
You know.
So that's where it comes into play. Like, I think that there absolutely is a way to make a form of socialized healthcare program in the same way. Obviously, they're not on the same spectrum, but there's socialized. There's socialized roads. There's socialized, fire department, ambulance services. There's socialized programs that are effective and are efficient. And I think it just needs revamped, essentially. Like, healthcare obviously can't function in the same aspect that it is right now if you're going to create it as a socialized program.
And even looking at, like, talking about with kids and preventative care and everything, we have to take a very holistic view to the entire concept of medicine.
Yeah.
And a lot of people look at medicine in this bubble of like, we need to fix the healthcare system. We don't not just need to fix the healthcare system. We need to fix our education system. Our education system greatly affects healthcare because
functional
there are
medicine.
people who legitimately don't realize that, like, if you're eating 3 large pizzas and drinking, a 2-liter of Mountain Dew every day,
right,
you're probably going to die at 50. Like,
well,
there's people that don't get that.
This was my son just this week took a test and answered wrong intentionally because his curriculum was saying, like, eat low fat and a bunch of other things, and he gave the right answers.
Yeah.
And wrote his teacher and said, hey, I hope that you can cut me some slack here, but here's the studies that show that you're wrong.
That's awesome.
And that this is completely, because they said to cut fat out of your diet and to eat more grains.
Oh, the food triangle that we learned as kids in school.
It's all money.
Yeah, and the food triangle, like, it's so wrong. At the same time, like, there's so many different diets out there.
Right.
Like, realistically,
well, and not everybody has the same body type that requires the same diet.
A lot of it is genetic, right?
But the tests to figure that out are uber cheap now, and could be a part of education.
That'd be interesting if it was a part of healthcare.
Yeah,
even like,
family
I think
that's the holistic
education about sedentary lifestyles and things that you can do to alter that. Like, realistically, I eat like a friggin' horse, and I drink an immense amount of beer. I also go to the gym and I do jiu-jitsu and I maintain an active lifestyle.
Right.
And that's why I am not rolling around in a rascal scooter.
Right.
Even though it would be kind of fun to have a scooter, but
you should get one anyway.
Maybe
for the trips.
Maybe
to the
put
gym.
that on the next city council agenda.
You know what? Next time I come in here, let's move this couch.
Yeah,
you just sit on
a scooter.
That'd be
so
really
I
cool.
think just kind of going back to the, like how you said, like that's the issue with it. I think the argument for why states should do things like what Colorado did by setting the price cap, I don't think that's the answer either. I think it's a Band-Aid. But I think the problem is the problem really is what you said, which is there's these 5 companies or less probably that control everything. You cannot legislate around that because they have given so much monetarily and continue to do so to keep
AOC would fix it, I think,
to keep their spot. But what you can do is disrupt. And when disruption happens, then change has to happen.
One thing could take that entire system and turn it upside down. And that's if we started importing drugs. If we turned around and started doing that, that changes things.
But see, that's a disruption. So you're not changing their thing.
Correct.
You're disrupting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you're not trying to legislate them out. You're disrupting it. And that's what Colorado's doing.
Yeah.
They're saying, okay, fine. If the feds aren't going to fix this, then in our state it's not going to happen. And this is really the only way we have to do this.
At the same time, though, when they do that, those companies are under no obligation to sell their product in Colorado.
Yeah.
And so now you end up with a supply issue based on the demand, right? And I mean, even if we look at it in the terms of marijuana, now you got a black market for insulin in Colorado.
Yeah. And
who's actually regulating that? And now you got people that are dying because they think they're using insulin, and what they're actually using is,
a vape pen from China.
Yeah, exactly. and so, but the more government gets involved, the more people are going to try and find ways to get around government.
Yeah.
I kind of see a little bit of a theme here, and this might not make be true, but it seems like the more you withhold and restrict something, the usually the more negative effects it has. So you're like the war on drugs. That has not proven effective in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
The access to healthcare, restricting access to healthcare has not shown to be beneficial to the populace.
Abstinence only education.
Abstinence only education. So there's a lot of things that you withhold or you restrict. Like eventually, I think it has a net negative effect. Yeah. So in the same respect, healthcare, there are some negative things to potentially having socialized healthcare. However, I think eventually it in the long run would have a net positive effect over negative. But then you run into there's insane amount of variable factors to it. Obviously, okay, if we have open borders, are we having providing healthcare to the whole world? Obviously all these sort of conflicted questions.
Let's get back to Aumsville.
Okay, Aumsville. Back to Aumsville. Back to Aumsville.
I just have a few questions here for you because no one else is brave enough to say them, and no one else is saying them in chat right now. Or they can. So,
give me the dirty.
This is not the dirty. I'll start with the dirty. Actually, let's just do that. We had a little bit of this conversation, but some of the questions that I got were revolving around two things. Number one was kind of like the bullies of Aumsville, and I won't go there unless you want to.
I'm down.
But number two is the water situation in Aumsville and what's being done about that. That was one thing that people are like, how come we didn't talk about that? Well, like, number one, I don't live in Aumsville. Yeah. And so I didn't know to ask anything about that. So what is the current situation with the water? And then if you want, you can like kind of move into what's the plan going ahead? Because obviously I'm assuming there's things that need to happen.
The current situation is it is crumbling underneath our feet in Aumsville.
Yes. I've heard you have to chew it sometimes.
Yeah. No, like, and we're doing what we can, but I believe the last time we looked at it, we have something like $10 million worth of capital projects we have to do just for our water system.
Right.
And
that's a lot.
Right now, it is a situation that is unsustainable. And so our water bills in Aumsville are pretty high, realistically.
Right.
The lowest tier, like I live by myself. The only other things in my house using some water are my dogs and my cats. Like,
right.
Like I'm in the lowest tier there is, and my water bill is $120 each month.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's way high, bro.
Yeah. And so, it sucks because we kind of...
Now, some of that goes to the PD.
Well, $12 of that goes to the PD. So,
so we're just point that out for a second.
So as in terms of like comparison, Jordan, you have 4 boys.
I don't, honestly, we just moved. I have no idea.
Okay, well, I'll give you mine. So I have 3 kids, a house guest, and my wife and I, and multiple baths going on every day, showers, laundry.
There's at least one bath going on every time I come over here.
Yeah, seriously. And our water bill is, I think, maybe $80 a month.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so part of it is like we have to have our water bill a little bit higher because we've got to put some in this fund so that we can fix our water and hopefully make it go down.
Yeah, good point.
At the same time, the one thing that has been a really big push, and it's actually something that I don't know, I may get in trouble for saying this. The city council, we're going to be doing a little working group thing probably sometime next month. And one of the big things that we're looking at that I have impressed upon our city administrator is a new system for our billing or our billing, the tiers that we have. Because now I believe we have it's like 0 to 5,999 gallons is this amount of money.
Smart, yeah.
So, I mean, if you use 1 gallon or you use 5,999 gallons, you're paying the same amount.
Yeah.
And then there's like 2 or 3 tiers on there. And I think our top tier is like over 13,000 gallons or something like that. And so,
that's a lot.
If we change up our tiers a little bit, we can essentially provide some relief to our low end users. The high end users are probably going to be paying a little bit more, but that's what happens when you use a boatload of water. Right. You have to pay a little bit more.
Is it not like that currently?
Well, so what happens? What we're talking about is like, let's say if it was a price per gallon, it would mean like if you're in tier 1, just for sake of math, you're paying 10 cents per gallon, and if you were in tier 2, you're paying 12 cents per gallon.
Gotcha.
And if you're in tier 3, maybe it's 15 cents per, something along those lines.
That makes sense.
Those numbers are just completely made up.
Right.
numbers,
Yeah.
but,
Not
yeah.
specific.
So
Don't quote the mayor and put him on a
something
poster.
along those lines. And so what happens is the high end users do end up paying more,
Right.
And the low end users, which realistically are low end users, are the ones who are most. In general, being most negatively impacted by the public safety fee and all that,
Right.
It's providing them with a little bit of relief.
Right.
With that, I mean, if we really want to get into it, like my big goal
Yes,
for
we
next year.
Yeah.
Right? This is like my 3-point plan to save Aumsville.
Get
Or
it.
what is it?
Because you're is this ending year 1 for you?
This is ending year 1. Yeah. So the 6th was
1 year.
1 year from the election. January 1st will be 1 year since I was
Okay.
sworn in.
So we're coming up to 1 year.
Sworn in.
Maybe before you go into your 3-step plan,
All right.
what have you accomplished this year so far that you would set out to do?
The first thing, which happened right away, and we talked about it last time, was getting the newsletter changed to both English and Spanish.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well done.
That happened.
Nice.
Our police force right now is fully staffed. We did change the verbiage on the ordinance creating the public safety fee so that nobody's house was going to get foreclosed on.
Which is interesting because on the poster it said you wanted to cut PD.
Well, yeah, no, that was a completely made up thing.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I never said anything like that. Like on that poster, there were so many things that
I didn't
false.
figure it was
literally
true.
those words.
I didn't think it
never
was
came out
true.
of my
I was just pointing out
Well,
that
like,
was something wrong.
They said something about like I wanted to do a gas tax, and I'm like
Lower gas
Oh no, no,
tax.
yeah.
yeah, like I've literally never said like the words gas tax never came out of my mouth.
Right.
It's just like we had one of the former mayors. He's an older gentleman named Joel Mathias, and he came to one of the city council meetings at the 6-month mark, and he said, well, during your campaign, you said that there's a lot of corruption in our city government, and I want to know now that you've been in office 6 months, have you found any corruption? And like I was respectful about it, but I'm like, I never said that. I don't know. Who told you that? I don't know where you got that, but I know for a
funny.
fact that those words never came out. In fact, when other people alluded to that, I was the one who was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Back off.
I will not accuse anyone of anything because I don't know.
Yeah.
I can say like this is the perception that is created by certain actions, but like I never accused anybody of it. I never said there was any corruption or anything like that. Like that was something that was completely made up.
Interesting. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
So
the newsletter, you
Uh-huh.
did get the beer garden.
We did get the beer garden at Corn Festival. It was fantastic.
And is that something that is
how
on the
many-
schedule to go every year?
How
Yeah.
wrong did that go?
There was zero issues,
Okay.
none whatsoever.
I didn't figure it was.
In fact, I made a little post on the mayor page, just like
I think
it's
I read-
just
I think
it's
I read
me
that
stirring the
post.
pot. Like I said something about to all the naysayers who said we were going to have
Stirring the
like
pot.
drunk teenagers running around. Like
Yeah.
I was there. I'm just wondering, did I miss the gangs of marauding drunk teenagers running up and down Main Street? Because
They were
I'm
all
pretty
at
sure that
Harvest
didn't
Fest.
happen.
Was it a pretty good show? Was it a pretty good
Yeah, it went well. There
First
were
year,
there were a couple of small hiccups with the planning and stuff like that, but it was little stuff. It's
Wasn't it
just
like the biggest
tightening
biggest
things
deal
up.
I saw people complaining about was having to cross the road?
Yeah, and so we're like, I'm not on the board for that anymore, but we're looking at tweaking that. With the beer garden, like one of the little hiccups, they hadn't planned for tables and chairs, so like I know the distributors and I know one of the people that was serving, and so they called me and they're like, hey, so I'm down here serving at the beer garden, and like it's just an open spot on the grass. Like, is someone gonna bring some tables and
Get some
chairs?
blankets.
So I got a hold of the city administrator and I was like, hey, can we send some of the public works guys like up to community center or whatever and grab some tables and chairs, and so we can set them up down here. And so like 10-15 minutes later, truck pulls up with a bunch of
There it
tables
is.
and chairs. We set it up real quick. It was no problem. But it was just little hiccups like that.
Right.
There were a lot of people that didn't realize that there was stuff going across the street as well.
Yeah, that
And
was the
so
other
they
complaint
didn't
I saw.
know. They were like, I heard about a beer garden, but I didn't see it.
So which side was it on? Was it the
It was
south?
on Mill Creek side, which would be the south side.
South side.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're the skate park side.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Other little things like we're doing a big code rewrite right now. A lot of our developmental code really wasn't even enforceable. And what had happened is in previous years, previous city administrators, previous city councils, like, they change one little line and say, okay, you can go from having a 6-foot fence to a 7-foot fence. But what they didn't do was like go through the entire document and find everywhere that line is referenced. And so over the years, as changes were made, we hit a point where our entire city developmental code just didn't make sense anymore. And so there really was no way to enforce it. So there's a big rewrite that's happening with all that right now. With that, we're changing. And
who does the rewrites for that sort of thing?
So that's actually someone that we hired.
Okay.
That they come in and review the entire thing and basically just tighten it all up.
Gotcha.
Derek does it on his Chromebook.
I know, it's like
in his
get your
living room.
Chromebook in there and he's just like typing away all night long.
No, then like for the beer garden, for example, we took 2 city ordinances and actually tweaked them and then turned it into one city ordinance that allows the city council to grant an exception to the public consumption of alcohol policy for community events and things like that.
Right.
And so that was actually getting rid of 2 old ordinances and creating a new one. Right.
Oh, wow.
And
How much backlash have you gotten from some of this rewrite? So specifically, not the beer garden one. No,
I think most people didn't even know, honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
Like when you do a rewrite, is it something like you propose and then the council has to vote yay or nay?
This is something that's been going on for a while. I believe it was actually the previous council that approved doing it.
Oh, okay.
But it was something that when I first got sworn in, like during one of our first little working groups, it was kind of a hot topic. Like, we need to get this going.
Gotcha.
Like,
right.
The approval was given. Why are we not doing it yet?
Gotcha.
You're like, I just got here.
Yeah. Again, like the billing with the water system thing.
Yeah.
That's something that we're working on. I'm hoping within the next like 3 to 4 months we have a plan in place so that it'll probably be July.
Mm-hmm.
That's when our billing rolls over. So every July we do our mandatory increase, or we decide whether we're going to do it or not.
Right.
I'm hoping that's when we can say, hey, let's go ahead and
Look
do
at
this new system.
Now, what about the one other thing I can remember that we talked about last time and that I actually saw on your site was the voting to sell cannabis at shops in the city.
I'm still working on that.
Still working on that.
So, so one other thing that we're doing right now.
Yeah. You're like, wait.
I'm going to go down a rabbit hole right now. No, so
cool. That's what we're all about here.
We're actually going to have all of our city council meetings. They are going to be recorded, posted up on the city website, posted on the city Facebook page. There's been discussion of live streaming. That's something that's a little bit further down the road, I think. I think that's the eventual goal.
Yeah.
But for right now, we're just get a video up there. So if someone's not there,
that's all Staten does.
Yeah, they can watch the video. There's some people that have been resistant to it. There's other people that are for it. For me,
just because they're shy or that like
they don't want to be recorded.
It's all supposed to be public record anyway, right?
Honestly, I can't even speak to why there are people who are against it. Like, I don't understand.
You say some people said it was their excuse for it, but it was just like it'll be cost prohibitive.
Well, so the first thing that was brought up by the city administrator was he thought it was going to be cost prohibitive.
Right.
I had a guy come in who does multimedia production and everything, come in and like set everything up, and we did kind of a test run.
Right.
And he was like, "No, bro, you need this $80 adapter.
Yeah.
It's going to go from your computer to the soundboard, and you're going to be good to go. You can record it on your phone." And so I think that's kind of what made him go, "Oh, okay."
Right.
And I understand. So like he was the mayor, 13 years for 13 years in Yelm or something.
Oh, wow.
And so I think it's something that he had looked into back in the day. And so maybe he, at the time when him and I first had the discussion, or maybe he was misinterpreting what my intent was. But we're good now. It's actually allocated in the budget this year for all the equipment and everything we're going to get, so that we can start posting those up.
Nice.
And the eventual goal would be to lead towards live streaming.
Yeah.
I will hopefully be out of office before all that happens.
We'll see.
I'm not going to be a 20-year mayor, man.
We'll see. Yeah.
So that's this year. What's your plan for this next year?
So for next year,
3-step plan.
This is my three-step plan to save Aumsville.
Socialized healthcare.
First is going to be
changing universal health care.
Yeah. Buying everybody a dune buggy.
Yeah.
No, the first step is going to be tweaking the billing on the water system. I want to get that fixed.
Yeah.
Okay? Step 2, like it, love it, hate it, I don't care. I am going to be pushing as hard as I can to get that public safety fee on the ballot. With that said, I fully support the public safety fee. I fully support us having 24/7 police coverage. I personally want us to have it, and I hope the fee stays.
Yeah.
However,
What is the fee?
The fee is $12. It's the $12 public safety fee.
So isn't that already on there? Or?
So I want it to be put on the ballot in
And
front of the voters. It never went to the voters.
I see.
This was something that the city council just decided they were going to do.
They just voted it in
without
themselves.
going to the
I
voters.
gotcha. That makes sense.
And per the city charter, they do have that power. So subpoint to this, I want to try and tweak the city charter because I don't think that the city council should be able to unilaterally put down these fees that have no cap, no sunset on them, just keep them forever. I'm not cool with that.
Right.
If we're going to be taking money out of people's pockets, it needs to go to the voters, period.
Yeah.
So I want that fee to go on the ballot. I personally hope it passes. If it doesn't pass, that would mean that we don't have 24-hour police coverage.
Right.
And that would mean that potentially 2 police officers that we have right now lose their job.
Right.
That would be terrible. With that being said, because of the way this was implemented, in my mind, there is not and was not an actual mandate from the community for us to have 24/7 coverage. And so if it doesn't pass...
They've had it. They've had times where it's not.
What was that?
They've had times in the past where it's not.
Correct. If it doesn't pass, well, then that's a pretty clear mandate from the community that they don't want 24-hour police coverage, or they don't think that $12 is justifying the 24-hour coverage.
Right.
So it needs to go on the ballot, in my opinion, and that's a matter of principle in my mind.
I can see that.
The second part of this would be lifting the dispensary ban. You know, that there
Is there an actual ban on
there
it?
is a ban. So
somebody had to vote to actually ban it at some point.
So when the state legalized marijuana, they allowed cities to opt out.
Right.
And this actually went to the ballot twice in Aumsville. The first time there wasn't high enough voter turnout, and so it was tossed. The results were tossed. They said there wasn't enough people for this to count.
People go out and vote. Jeez.
So then it happened a second time, and the second time the ban passed, and it was by a razor thin margin, and that was 4 or 5 years ago.
Where the concept and the entire
mood
temperature towards
and
it was different.
It was largely based on fear. It was fear mongering was the major push because there were people in town, especially with the previous administrations, that did not want marijuana in Aumsville. It's the devil's lettuce. We can't have it.
But here's the thing: it's like you can drive. Turner has one.
You can.
Staten has multiple. Like,
well,
and pick your poison in Salem. Like,
that's the argument I've made though. Is people are saying, hey, you can drive to Staten, you can drive to Turner. Yes, you can. However, that means that additional 3% tax
goes to them.
Goes to them. It doesn't go to Aumsville.
Right.
That's a good
It's
point.
not like people in Aumsville aren't smoking weed.
That's a
they
good
are.
point. Yeah.
With
It's
that as
Aumsville.
well, the state profit share, that 17% tax, when you have a ban, you don't get any of it. So
that's huge.
If we lifted that ban,
Wow.
we could effectively zone out all marijuana and have 0 licenses issued, and we would still get a chunk of that state profit share. But as long as we have that ban, we can't get any of it. I've talked to several cities around the area. The amount of money is variable.
Right. And depends how many shops you have. And all that stuff.
It's this weird equation based on like how many licenses you have issued, how much revenue was brought in. That determines the state profit share, and then cities and counties are allowed to do an additional 3% tax on top of that.
Right.
Talking to Kaiser, I want to say that they had told me it was something like $200,000 they brought in last year. Granted, Kaiser's a lot larger than Aumsville.
Right.
Slightly.
City of Medford was like $1 million. Portland was $4.7 million they brought in just off weed. Aumsville's not looking at anything like that.
No.
But let's
you have
say
lower overhead too, though.
let's say it brings in $25,000.
Right.
That $25,000 based off
It's a
of
lot for a small town.
the $12 that we're bringing in. Maybe that means that $12 fee goes down to a $10 fee.
Right.
Well, that's a good thing. That's
Yeah.
a good thing. And I'm okay with that. You know, it is lessening the impact on people who have the least ability to pay.
So how many people would you say you have personally heard from that have an issue with having a dispensary in Aumsville?
Very, very small minority. I think when I first put it on the page and there was a few people who started losing their mind, I would say I have encountered maybe 8 people that have voiced a problem with it. not a single one of them has voiced a concern that is based in any type of statistics or mathematics or qualitative or quantitative. It is purely based on a religious moral aversion.
That was going to be my
marijuana.
next question. Is it a moral thing? Would you say that the demographics there that you know of too, and this is just guessing, are generally older, or are they?
It varies. So when this was first discussed on the my little mayor Facebook page, there was like 4 people who were super against it. Mm-hmm. 2 of them I would say are probably my age, late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Another one's probably mid 40s, and another one's probably mid 50s. And those were like the 4 major voices.
Really?
At one point, the guy in his mid 40s, this was actually a guy who was a huge supporter of me during the campaign and during the election. Once I said the word marijuana, he lost his mind.
Wow.
He started posting like praise and worship music on my Facebook page and saying that I was going to burn in hell.
Trying to save you.
And like,
save you, brother.
Yeah, and that he's praying for me and all this kind of stuff.
Which is interesting because you don't use marijuana. Well, at least the last I heard from you, you don't because you're in the military. Yeah,
I'm still in the process of my medical retirement. As of right now, I can go do a piss test anytime. Like if they could call me tomorrow and be like, "Hey, bro, I know it's Veterans Day, but you gotta come."
Yeah, it's a test. That's a test you're always studying for.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
know that. I know that drill.
Don't get me wrong. When I'm out,
that's
a whole different story.
Yeah. That's fine. And then it kind of goes back to your libertarian things, like do what you do. It's like as long as you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
Like
and so it like this guy, he showed up to one of the city council meetings and like started preaching a sermon. We had another. There was
trying to pull a filibuster.
Is it ever like Parks and Recreation? Have you ever? Watched
no,
that?
it totally is.
Is it? Because I was thinking of the small town.
I am Ron Swanson.
Are you Ron? Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of like I'm Ron Swanson mixed with
Jerry. No.
No. Jerry.
No. What's the name of the
Chris Pratt?
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah.
I'm like Ron Swanson and Andy kind of meshed together.
That's an interesting combo. That's a combo I'd hang out with.
Yeah.
You're like shoot guns really and not know why.
Yeah.
What's the name of the Indian guy?
Oh, what was his name? I can't remember. He's awesome.
I know
that totally is you.
Aziz Ansari, but I can't remember his
name.
Yeah,
I know his real name, but I can never remember his name on character. Anyways, so it is like Parks and Rec a little bit. I can see like just random people.
Maybe there's a little John Ralphio in there too.
Yeah, John Ralphio. But like, are people like when they're coming up and talking, like they're just like sometimes you're just like, okay, it's just like this long story. What are you talking? Like, what are you trying to say? I don't understand this. Like, you're just blabbering.
And it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like one of the cool things about Aumsville is like people know where I live.
Yeah,
like it's Aumsville. It is 4,000 people will like come and knock on my door and be like, "Hey, I'm having this issue," and I'm like, "Come on in, sit down. You want to smoke a bowl?" No.
Yeah.
I can't, but I have one. Right
I got one for you.
It happens to be here. No, like it, and it's something so like that makes it really cool. I've had people come up to me in the grocery store. I like all sorts of stuff.
Is Thriftway still open?
No, I'm like I'll go to the
Safeway.
I'll go to Safeway in Staten and have people come and talk to me. Like I've been in Staten. I've been in Salem and have people be like, "Oh, you're mayor." Like my grandfather's actually in the hospital right now. He had a fall. He's perfectly fine.
Cool.
But
feel better, Grandpa.
I went and visited him today, and my grandma's like, "Oh yeah, all the nurses we had last night are all from Aumsville." And so I got to tell them like,
crazy.
My grandson's the mayor.
That's fun.
But like
he better get really good care.
Like I've been in Staten, I've been in Salem, and I've had people like recognize me and want to come up to me and talk to me about some of their issues, and that's totally cool. At the same time, some people will come and talk to me about their issues, and I'm like, I can't do anything about your neighbor's cats. I'm really sorry. What do you want from me?
Super duper sorry.
Sounds like
I'll take care of those cats.
Well, like for example, so there was someone who brought up an issue the other day about our garbage cans and people having garbage cans on the sidewalk or in the street, kind of up against the sidewalk, and like which way was right. And this lady.
This is my dilemma every Wednesday.
She brought up a good point, and she was like, when they're sitting on the sidewalk, kids can't always get past it, and if there's kids in wheelchairs, like they may have to go into the street, and it's getting foggy, and like that's kind of a safety thing. And I was like,
it's true.
I was like, you are right, but that's not something the city's going to do anything about. Like, what does the garbage company say? Well, the garbage company's policy is that they're supposed to be on the street, up against the sidewalk. Okay, well then the garbage company needs to enforce their policy. And if you put it up on the sidewalk, not pick up people's garbage.
Yeah.
But like, I can't turn around and
That's a really good
have
to
the
know.
city administrator like direct the chief of police to have, all hands on deck
Trash
Thursday
patrol.
morning, driving around looking for trash cans in the wrong spot and then banging on people's doors trying to cite them. Like that's that's ridiculous. And so of course I tried to explain this. And of course, then she went down this rabbit hole. Like, the mayor said he's not going to do anything.
Oh my
The
goodness.
city doesn't care about our children. I'm like, that's what I said. That's exactly what I said.
Oh my gosh,
dude. So what's the? So you said boom. You don't have any desire after the next year thus far. Is there a?
But he said he didn't want. So he and I kind of this scuffle this week on Facebook. I was giving him a hard time. It's like, and I don't know him that well, but I felt like I could poke the bear a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And he said, "Well, I want to." And I said, "Dude, you said that when you got voted in this time too." It's like, so, I mean, that doesn't clearly it hasn't done much for you yet. I mean, it's just what
I get do you so like how many days a week do you have to are you working as a mayor? Is it like an everyday job kind of thing?
I guess that kind of depends on our definition of work.
Or
I would say every day.
Do you go into like an office every day?
I go into City Hall probably once a week for maybe 15, 20 minutes tops. Either like talk to the city administrator about something or sign a bunch of checks or whatever else. Like, my time in City Hall is minimal.
Nice.
Throughout the day, every day, I would say I am responding to at least 2 to 5 different people about some issue they have going on. And either it's something that I can research myself and give them an answer, or I can talk to the city administrator. Hey, we've got this issue. This person brought this up. What do you think about that?
Are they calling you, or is this something like you're like?
It's kind of a smattering of everything. There's a couple of the small business owners in town that they have my number, and if they call me, it's fine. Like I called I messaged Jared and Krista Radke a couple of weeks ago, on Halloween. I'm like, hey, are you guys open tonight? Because I want a pizza delivered. She's like, yeah, we're totally open. Cool. Nice. And so people know how to reach out to me. Even though I don't use my real name on Facebook, people know how to reach out to me. And so I would say a lot of it's Facebook, and then email, and then phone calls.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Gotcha. So I was just curious, how much of your time is devoted to actually having to do that? Because I mean, if you, I know we talked about last time, financially, if you had to have a full-time job on top of being a mayor.
Well, I do have a full-time job now.
Oh, you do now?
Not that I have to. I just got really bored.
So I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay.
I got bored.
What are you doing?
I'm a business relationship manager for the Oregon Health Authority.
Oh, you had just interviewed for that last time.
Yeah.
Or you had brought up that you were in the process of that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So does that feel like kind of a tug of war, having a full-time job on top of the mayor?
No, I mean they're pretty good about it. They're pretty good about it. And I'll say my manager is great. I've had times where I'm like, hey, I got to take kind of long lunch. I'm gonna run out to City Hall and sign some checks. She's like, do what you got to do.
Nice.
It's not a problem. I've had days where I have to flex my time a little bit. They're very accommodating. So and even either A, I'm working with public health guys, or I'm over at the state hospital. B, I'm sitting in my little cubicle over off of Fairview Industrial there. But I've got my phone on me. If the city administrator calls me and I respond to his phone call, nobody's like, hey man, what are you doing on your phone?
Gotcha.
Doesn't happen. It's a very professional environment.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Well, and then that kind of works better in that type of job that you have. If you had a job where you had to do, I guess night shifts or something like that, and you had to do 6 days a week or something like that. Yeah.
Dude, I'll say though, sitting in a cubicle,
that can be tough.
that is not my environment.
Well, it is right now.
Yeah, that's been the most difficult part of this job, because the last job I had was protective security for ambassadors in Afghanistan, and running around playing all the Rambo and having a good time.
Slightly different.
And then they're
different pay too.
Yeah,
Way
very different pay. They're like, oh yeah, that's really cool, bro. You got shot at. I'm like, here's your cubicle. It's right. You're right next to them.
You're
Yep,
gonna do
okay.
great, and this chair is super comfortable.
You're right next to the person who smells like pee all the time.
Yeah.
No,
I couldn't do better than that.
Mars.
I
better
thought
than
it was
the guy.
really weird because like they actually did come and like do measurements to make sure I had the right chair, and I'm like, what?
Oh, really? Like ergonomic?
Yeah,
kind of
like a
measurements.
full-on ergonomic assessment. And I'm like, what are you guys
Wow.
doing? And they're like, well, we want to make sure you have the right chair. And I'm like,
What?
does it have 4
amazing.
legs and maybe some wheels?
No.
I'm good.
Oh my god.
So who is it? Who is it you work for?
Oregon Health Authority.
So that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I work, we do the same thing.
I wish
And
they did that for me, man. I'd take a little
they-
ergonomic fancy chair.
when you're in a regulatory agency like that, they want to make sure that they don't ever get
It's workman's comp
regulated.
issues.
Yeah.
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 So here's a kind of an off-topic question: is what do you do? What do you do in your downtime? What do you like to do? Just more
Dude,
of a
I don't really
get to
have
know
a whole
Derek
lot of
session.
downtime. Like, between working full time, being the mayor, still being in the National Guard, I still teach some, concealed carry classes and stuff like that on the side.
Okay.
You said you're doing jiu-jitsu though too, right?
Yeah. So up until recently, we just switched the schedule up. I was actually teaching our Wednesday kids class.
Oh, nice.
I'm not doing that now, so that's freed up some time. But I didn't really have a whole lot of free time to begin with.
Right.
Um,
We talked about video
yeah.
games, so you do that.
Yeah, I do.
So-
I do some video games. I spend time at the gym. Most days for me, like my average day, I wake up at about 4. I go to the gym,
Jocko stuff right there.
get
Jeez.
back
Yeah.
home, have breakfast and all that. I'm at work between 7:30 and 8. I'm there until between 4 and 5. Come back. Depending on what day of the week it is, I may turn right around and go do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I may have, other appointments, like medical appointments, like that's when I'm going to get all that kind of stuff done.
Yeah.
But if I have absolutely nothing to do, I will come home and it's meal prepping or, maybe some video game time.
VR time.
VR time.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. So if you don't rerun, which I really think Aumsville still needs you, but what's the plan after that?
I don't really know.
You stay in Aumsville? We talked about that last time a little bit.
Yeah, I may or may not stay in Aumsville right now. One of the things that I'm doing so many years ago in another life before I started defense contracting, I was really looking at going to a physician assistant program.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the next step up from being a medic. And so I had actually applied and went through that whole thing, and then contracting came up, and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to go do this. Since then, some of my prereqs matriculated, so I'm redoing some of the prereqs in case I do want to reapply, so I'm kind of leaning towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Getting back into the clinical side of medicine, that's, especially trauma is kind of my wheelhouse. It's what I love doing.
Right.
I would love to get back into that. I don't know if I should say this or not.
You don't have
You
to.
you can tell us after if you want.
I was recently hit up about contracting again, going to Africa.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So I've been toying around with the idea of doing that. If I do that, that may affect the mayor stuff a little bit. So
Yeah, gotcha.
I don't really want to, but I mean that's something that's kind of up in the air.
That'd be
Yeah.
a change in lifestyle right there.
I mean it's definitely something that I enjoy more.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, the mayor thing, it's got its ups and its downs, but not having to do it anymore does sound appealing.
So you don't have to tell me specifics for yourself, but I have known a couple people that have done contracting, military contracting, like you mentioned, guarding ambassadors and whatnot, different things.
Here's your cubicle. What if you got there and that's
but
the first thing you had to say?
what-
Here's your cubicle. You're like, shoot.
What is
It just came from
This is my life now.
the average what I've heard wide range numbers, and people have often been curious about what is if you went to a 6-month contracting kind of thing, what is an average number of hey, we're going to give you 100,000, 200,000,
It
300,000.
completely varies.
Does it have specific standards? You're nah, listen, I know I used to get way more than that. I'm not even interested in it.
Well, it's so
Look, I used to be
I
a
look
mayor.
at that with contract.
Yeah.
But so if you look at a contract, what happens is the U.S. government says we got this job we want someone to do, and the different companies bid on it, right?
Okay.
And they say, okay, you give us, X number $1 billion, and we'll take this 3-year contract. And then from there, they start scaling like the equipment and everything else they need, how much are they going to pay their people, and that kind of stuff. So if you look at like the height of contracting, some of the guys that were in like legit shooter positions, some of those guys are pulling in $1,000 a day.
Okay.
And
is there different like tax issues, or like is there different like tax rates with that?
It's jumped around for a while. Military still, if you're deployed, that income is not taxed while you're deployed.
If you're
for contractors, they did that for a while, and then they got away from it. When I was there, we actually got double taxed, which is technically illegal. What happened is we had to pay U.S. tax and we had to pay Afghan tax, and so the way the U.S. government smoothed it out is they turned around, and when I filed my tax return each year, all of the Afghan tax that I got back, the U.S. paid it back to me. So my paycheck was getting taxed, but at the end of the year, I got that money back.
Oh, okay.
And so like there was one year that my tax return was like $38,000.
Because it was just like,
yeah.
So like with say like the Afghan tax, did you have?
That wouldn't be that day.
Is it the Afghan government that's giving you a giving you a tax return slip or something like that?
They're just straight taking money out of you.
But then how do you prove that the Afghan government actually took that much?
It's going. I would imagine they're just taxing the company.
Okay.
Yeah.
The company.
And so
they probably provide the form.
There are tax dudes out there that like specialize in like, oh, you're a contractor.
Well,
in fact, the guy that I went to just recently went to jail.
Oh
no. Oh crap. Oh no.
Well, recently what I heard was that with contracting jobs, you have to be there a year. And that's how you don't get taxed by the U.S.
No. So to not get taxed, you have to spend 330 days outside of the United States.
Right.
And so what some of our guys would do, who like either they're not married and have no kids, or like they just don't like their family, they would go on their leave rotation and they'd like go to Thailand and spend a month out there.
So what after they've done their contract?
Well, so you have a rotation. So like my rotation was 105 days on, 35 days off.
Oh, okay.
And so during that 35-day period, they'd just be like, oh, I'm going to go like, or even dudes that were married, like they'd call their wife and be like, hey, we're going to go do Europe for a month.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And they would go do that. And as long as they don't come back to the United States, as long as they spend 330 days outside the United States, then they didn't have to pay U.S. tax.
Yeah. That's what I heard.
And so there was a lot of dudes that were doing that. More power to them.
Smart. Yeah.
But like the way the pay structure goes, like the contract that I was on, like generally your high end administrator guys, your project manager, your deputy project manager, like they're going to be the highest paid guys. The next highest paid is usually medics.
Oh, really?
And that's because being a medic, you're a paramedic or a firefighter paramedic, like you can make $90,000 in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot higher turnover, and they have to incentivize keeping these guys there. So like when I left, the day rate was $700 a day. In contrast, our guys that were just like administrative dudes, like our supply guy and stuff like that, I think they were making like $340 a day.
Oh, okay. So significantly different.
Guys who were coming in like just as a member of the team, we call them shooters. Guys that were coming in as a shooter on the team, I think the pay rate at that time was like $451.
Okay.
And then if you were a team leader, it was like $550.
But man, if you're not getting if you can avoid the taxation on that,
that's really good money.
That's amazing.
In a typical 3-month rotation, that 105 days, I think it came out to like $68,000 was like the total.
And then did you do that avoiding, or at that time you were able to? No, you got double tax though.
Yeah, I was still coming home. And especially because I'm still in the guard. I was still in the guard at the time. I had to come home and like make up those days and everything else. So I just came home.
Gotcha.
That was no big deal to me.
Yeah.
Plus, like, I was mid-late 20s. I didn't really have a whole lot of bills and everything. It was like really that kind of money, like whether I was paying tax or not, I really didn't care.
Yeah.
Like, I bought so many stupid things just because I was like,
I got it.
There's so much money sitting in there. I gotta buy something. And then I switched over to like doing the smart thing and investing it and putting it in different retirement accounts and whatnot. And so that's what led me to the position of really not having to work. Is I spent the first couple of months just like paying off everything I owned other than my house. And then I spent the next couple of months like buying toys. And then I was like, I should probably be less stupid about this.
Toys were fun for a while.
That's true.
Yeah.
You gotta have some fun. But
dude, I don't know if Let me see if let me find this real quick. You can talk to her if you got it. I
Yeah.
wanted to
So
find something.
here's a question. This is
I
one
remember
that my wife was asking.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one that I've asked too, and I tend to ask people who are, especially in smaller cities or governments,
Mm-hmm.
because it seems like the most practicable. What can somebody who does not have any experience, doesn't know about politics, because a lot of people are like very opinionated about
Mm-hmm.
politics, but they really know jack shit.
Yeah.
So, what could they do to help?
You know, the biggest thing that has happened especially in Aumsville, is just being involved. Right.
Yeah. So what does that mean practically?
Well, and like being involved doesn't necessarily mean you have to like volunteer for every little event your city does, but like read the minutes from the meetings.
Yeah.
Show up to a meeting every once in a while, just so you know, like, oh, this is what's happening in my city. That's kind of what like led Aumsville into the position they were in, is that previous city councils didn't take the approach of like, oh, it's our duty to communicate. They took their view was, well, if you don't show up to the city council meetings, it's your own fault. You know,
They didn't.
so
encourage it,
and then people
thus
weren't
your
engaged.
rebuttal of trying to make it more accessible for people to see it.
Exactly. And so then people weren't engaged, and things started happening without people knowing about it. And then one day people were like, wait, $12 more on my bill. What? And like then it spirals into recalls and you know, having some tattooed weirdo with a backwards hat as your mayor. Like, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So like I just tell people like
Like how you just
be
described
involved.
like the bad thing is yourself. You're like, well, this is what you get.
I mean, like I am not a good mayor. I was just a step up from the previous dude, and that's just because I'm actually willing to talk to people.
Yeah.
No, like if you get a chance, go to a city council meeting just for the heck of it. Like, yeah, it's probably gonna be boring, but like take the time, read the minutes from the city council meeting, and like if you like do what people do when like they want to learn new words, like highlight it, like I don't know what they're talking about here, and then go research a little bit just so you know what's going on in your town. Like that's huge, you know. And that leads back to like the issue with the PD and stuff. Like, hey, yes, I understand you got an issue with Aumsville PD, but you know, if you would have researched this issue, or even just like talk to me or the chief or anyone else, like,
Or just asked.
we never
someone.
got that call. It
Yeah.
never came in because that's not the way the system works. You
Yeah.
know, so that's the biggest like first step for being involved.
Just
It's
being
just like
knowledgeable.
show up, be present, be a part of it. You know, going to the little city events. Can you pick the mayor of Staten out of a lineup?
Yes.
You can't. Okay, well you
No.
can.
I can
Like-
pick I can pick 2 city council
Only
members.
because I used to buy guns from
Two
them.
city council members.
I would
Like-
say on average, and this is just based on my
One of the town councilors is
view.
my cousin-in-law.
Like,
so
most people more than likely cannot pick their mayor and city councilors out of a lineup. Now, the city council in Aumsville right now, like, yeah, everybody knows who we are because of everything that's happened.
right.
But like prior to that, most people would not have been able to pick. I mean, maybe they know who 1 or 2 of them are at most.
Yeah.
You know, so
I didn't know
No-
who town councilors were. I just seeing the pictures like on your Facebook
Mhm.
page, like I know who most of them are.
yeah.
But I
Is-
wouldn't have before.
we might have talked about this last time. And did we go over the potential or the possibility of being able to vote on social media for like city topics?
I don't remember if we talked about it or not. Like,
But is that it, like that? Obviously, it almost seems too easy. But like, is that something like? Is a potential? Have you ever like in your time serving? Have you seen anything like? Man, this is something we could actually incorporate.
It'd be
So
really
like
hard.
I've done like little informal polls and stuff like that, but like doing it through social media is extremely difficult as far as like verifying someone's identity and their
Right,
address, and everything
verifying
else.
identity.
Yeah, so that was the big thing with the marijuana thing. Like I did this poll and just asked people like, would you like to see the dispensary ban go back on the ballot?
Right.
And I want to say
They lost their minds because you did an online poll.
exactly.
Did
Yeah.
you do it
And
Instagram? Was it Instagram or Facebook?
It was Facebook, and it
Facebook.
wasn't like, hey, do you want me to get rid of the ban? It was, do you want to see it on the ballot?
Right.
Do you want to officially ask the question?
Right.
And
Yeah.
just asking the question made these people mad.
What was the percentage of like? Did it say?
It ended up being about 60-40
Okay.
in favor of putting it back on the ballot. And initially, you know, the people who were against it tried to discredit it. And they're like, oh, this is the Facebook poll. It's not real. There's kids voting. And I'm like, no. I'm going to scrub through the numbers. And realistically, I think it was actually 62-38
Oh, wow.
was the split.
Okay.
And when I went through, I scrubbed through and I looked at every single person that voted. and I went to their Facebook page and I made sure that
Facebook stopped
they were old enough,
And they're from Aumsville.
and I Googled them to make sure they were
Yeah.
from Aumsville and everything else. And some of them you can't tell, but like I used
Yeah.
the best assessment I could, and it literally did not change the percentage at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there was zero change.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Voting on social media, I would be completely against it. I think it would be a mess.
I think I'd be totally for
Polls
it.
are fine.
I'd be
I
totally
think-
for it.
I think
I
polls
think
are
if
just
you
fine.
had a way of doing facial recognition that then while you were voting it
Here's
it
my
monitored
rebuttal.
your facial
Currently,
recognition.
right now, there are multiple governments that either are trying to put a warrant out for the arrest of Mark Zuckerberg or trying to
That's because
say that he's got like
they're scared about Libra.
governmental things
They're
going
freaked
on
out about
because of
Libra,
their
that's why.
no, and their ads being targeted, their political ads. I don't think he's the guy to control it. I would say I'm fully for electronic voting, and I think that you could make it work with our current technology very well, but it would need to be a separate system from
Yeah, you can't incorporate like,
Hmm.
and even our mail-in voting system actually works very well.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm.
I love that
Yeah.
Oregon is
I do like that
way,
also.
Mhm.
but also I get like I do see some value to having people go to a place, but also there's no difference between the mail-in voting and if they were to do some sort of electronic thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm and maybe it's the slight conspiracy theorist in me, but like the whole government and facial recognition and that kind of stuff. There's always a piece of me that's like, do I really want that to happen? Like,
Yeah.
well, if it was a system, so like right now, you don't go to your city hall and register to vote. Where do you go?
to register to vote, you go
Yeah.
to DMV.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's facial recognition. I mean, it's just analog.
Yeah, true.
So if there was a system like that that gave you the key
Mm-hmm.
to use their system in an app.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So-
Like an app
but now we're
that
looking
has
at all
facial
this stuff with
recognition.
like deep fakes and all that. Like,
Right. But that's what I'm saying. You have to go in person. Once you register, they give you your private key and it works through an app. It could work just as probably more secure, honestly, than an envelope floating around.
yeah.
I don't know. I just
but
think
deepfakes for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it should be done remotely.
Was it someone like recreated The Shining, but it was with Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
What?
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey had
Yeah.
a face of
It was-
Jack,
It's
Jack
terrifying.
Nicholson.
I've only
Jack
seen pieces
Nicholson,
of it. Yeah.
And they took Jack Nicholson and they put Jim Carrey's
Dope.
face on him, and they did like the
Nice.
entire freaking movie. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Did you guys hear there's a Shining 2 coming out?
Well, there's the
Or-
the prequel or whatever,
no, it's-
Doctor Sleep with Ewan
Or is
McGregor.
it's a sequel?
I thought it was the prequel.
It's when he's
pre-sequel.
grown up. I think I think it's
I
when
don't
when the son is grown
Was
up.
it the son?
I thought I could
don't
be
know.
totally wrong.
I've seen
'Cause
like
he has,
little ads for it or whatever. I thought it was a prequel.
I could be totally wrong.
I thought it was a
Yeah.
prequel, like kind of explaining
It's
like
entirely
why
possible.
the hotel is like all haunted and crazy and whatnot. That's what I thought. But
Dude, what do you guys
Yeah.
think about that? ISIS dude blew himself. Did he blow himself?
backdadding,
Did he
yeah.
blow, did he blow himself up, or did
and like
the
3 of his kids?
did the SEAL team get him?
No, he blew himself up.
He blew
was in a
himself up.
tunnel and he blew himself up.
You know what's messed up about the whole situation is how, and maybe it's just from the social media or the news sources that I saw it. It seemed like the liberal news media was trying to push towards the fact that it was such a cruel thing that this ISIS team forced this guy to blow himself up and kill his kids, and then the conservative, it was like this extreme. So I'm like, bro, this is terrible. Like they're pushing these agendas.
It's the same
So
thing
nuts.
that happened when we got Osama bin Laden, right? The political right tried to lessen that accomplishment for Obama.
Right. Yeah, that's
Right?
true.
And
That's a
the
good
political
point.
left tried to play
Yeah.
it up. And now the political left is trying to lessen that accomplishment for Trump, and the political right's trying to play it up. It's the same song and dance, man. The parties
Yeah.
aren't any different.
Here's a
It's the
question.
same stuff.
This is from total left field at this point.
Mm.
If you right now could endorse a presidential candidate,
Ooh,
who would it
yeah.
be?
That's a good question, Jordan. We should all say who.
Isn't there like a city in Alaska that has a dog for mayor?
For mayor or for president?
That's what I'm saying. I'll endorse that dog.
Oh, I
For
see.
president.
Like
If you,
honestly,
if you had to pick, if you had to pick from the lineup right now,
from the lineup right now,
yep. I'm assuming.
Or
that
I
you
don't think it
kinda
has to be
followed
the.
that
I
a
think
Is
it's somebody
Vermin
that
Supreme
was
running as a
running.
third-party
Somebody
candidate?
that
bit.
was
I don't think
running.
So.
Dude, there's no one that appeals to me. From a libertarian aspect, there are a few things that Tulsi Gabbard has said that appeal to me. At the same time,
That's his crush.
At the same time, there's a lot about her that doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah,
I would
get
agree
it.
with that.
I get it. But
I
out
don't
of
even
the
check
out
to
of the
see
poisons, that would be
if-
my preferred.
I don't know if the Libertarian Party has actually endorsed a candidate yet.
I don't think they have, and I think the reason why is because a lot of them have jumped into the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So, for instance, it was Bernie is trying to go for the Democratic ticket.
Oh, I thought.
Yeah.
and he would have totally probably been more libertarian before. I don't know if he is.
he's
now.
so-
Bernie
way more
is
social,
so far. Bernie
more
is the
social.
farthest thing possible
Really?
from the Libertarian Party.
Okay, so of them, Yang has said he would. He
He's
or
pretty
he
social too, man.
It's
I mean,
true,
he's trying
yeah.
to do a universal
They're all
basic
pretty.
income.
Yeah, well, and so that's the thing is like there's I honestly think that you have some
Ron
Democrat candidates that
Ron
are
White.
recognizing that the Libertarian Party is growing.
Yeah.
I want to say, Trump and Hillary was a dumpster fire to begin with, but that was other than Ross Perot, that was like the highest turnout that there was for a third party candidate.
That is true.
In quite a while. And so I think that what is happening is you are going to see people on both sides that are going to express some more libertarian leaning sentiments in the hopes of
maybe that's what I'm
pulling
seeing.
a little bit of that independent vote. But do they actually believe those things?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I'm surprised that Rand Paul didn't do better. That he didn't have a broader audience of appeal.
No one was beating Trump. No one was beating like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that
like,
he had the appeal.
He had that on lock from day one, and I do think that Rand I like Rand Paul.
Yeah, I do too.
If
I
he
like
would have
Rand
gotten the nom, I would have voted for him. I ended up voting for Gary Johnson, but
He imploded.
he did. But I couldn't bring myself to vote for Trump or Hillary. I was so torn. I would have voted for a plastic bag full of dog shit before either one of them.
That was a tough one.
Yeah, but no, I think that and it's the same thing that you see in the primaries versus the actual election is in the primaries. You see a lot of them lean more right or more left in order to really drum up that support in the party. And then as soon as they get the nom, they start doing more centrist views because they realize that they have to pull that independent vote. That's the game changer. And so I think that what you're seeing is a response to 2016. You're seeing people that are expressing some libertarian sentiments in the hopes of pulling some of that independent voting block.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's interesting too that it seems like because we just pendulum swing that's what we do. It's like
excluding Daddy Bush. I want to say it's since Eisenhower or something like that. Well, and Jimmy Carter. It's been 8 years Republican, 8 years Democrat, just flip-flopping back and forth with a few exceptions.
Occasional four.
Yeah, it's
you've
crazy.
You've got Jimmy Carter
stupid,
in there, and you've got Daddy Bush.
Boom.
But other than that, it's really been 8 years flip-flopping back and forth since the 50s.
Which has kept things pretty, not
They
going
counter
too
each
crazy
other.
to the right or the left, but I don't know.
It's reactionary politics.
It is.
And each reaction though seems to get a little bit more extreme or a little bit more.
I mean, and people forget that friggin' Republicans and conservatives were running around with pictures of Obama as a monkey, and Democrats were running around burning effigies of Bush, but then they turn around and they're like, oh well, Trump has caused everything to get more violent.
Right.
Have you not been paying attention?
They were literally trucking people into cities to be violent just because he got elected. It's like, you guys, this is, I don't know. I think it's funny going into this next election. It gets really, really annoying, and I just get less and less on social media because I don't want to listen to people's garbage. Although at the same time, I'm kind of interested by it, and I'm not really made too angry by it. So it's kind of fun to watch from a distance. I don't like to join those arguments. But it is interesting to see. I mean, really, what got it, besides gerrymandering, if you take that off the table, what got Trump elected was because people were told, "Don't ever vote for him." I mean, that's literally it was
Yeah.
it's reactionary, and
Well,
people were like, well, and so they were afraid to say they were.
I think a lot of it was sentiments towards Hillary too, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
That was
Like, if
Big
if it would have been Bernie, I think.
But I think a lot of people showed up because they were like, if
I
you
am
vote for
not
him,
a
you're a
Bernie
bigot. They're like,
supporter.
no, I'm not. I'm going to
Yeah.
vote for him.
I think Bernie would have beat Trump.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not a Bernie supporter.
I think he would have
that,
also.
I think that would have been a nightmare. That's just my own personal thoughts.
Yeah.
But Hillary wasn't going to win. And I even thought for a while, I was like, man, I don't know if Trump can pull this out. And I remember actually being surprised when Trump did win.
Yeah.
But looking at the situation now with 2020 hindsight, Hillary wasn't ever going to win. That wasn't going to happen.
And realistically, honestly, I would have very little surprise if Trump wins again.
Oh no, I honestly believe that's when it's
Yeah.
it's more the same. It's 8 years one way, 8 years the other way,
Yeah.
just back and forth.
Although he's only had 4. You think he's going to win?
I think he's gonna win.
I think.
Yeah, I think he's gonna win.
I think the sentiment when you're on the coast, you see a significantly different impression than when you're in the Midwest or when you're in the South. When you're in,
I just got
even
back
the
from
North.
Nashville.
Like it's a different.
and-
That's a sweet place. When you said that, I was like, I
Nashville's
spent one
awesome,
night
dude.
there on my way back from
Yeah.
Georgia.
But
Super
like,
cool.
Super expensive.
Nashville, Georgia, Nashville, Tennessee. People are running around with "Make America Great Again," like just rocking them everywhere they go.
Really?
Like,
Yeah. It's a different world.
yeah, it is very different than when you're on either one of the coasts.
Well, I had buddies that lived in live in San Francisco, and after the election, like they were crying, and I was, either way, I'm gonna be
That's
like
a bit much.
I'm gonna be like, when somebody does that, it makes me kind of like instantly want to poke them a little bit.
Yeah.
But like I was like,
That's your
it's
8 coming out.
That's my 8. That's just like you're in your confirmation bias. You're in a small circle, so you're not seeing the entire kind of picture. There.
I wasn't shocked when Trump won, but because I didn't unfriend anyone. People were like, it was the only, I remember it was like the election where people were unfriending people because they were so mad about people's politics.
and
it's like, oh my gosh, just slow down a second.
I
Like,
was paying a lot more attention to a lot of the polls than I probably should have, and none of the polls showed Trump winning. Every poll
they were
out
all
there
biased polls trying to get people to
Right.
fist
Hillary's
shot.
going to win. Hillary's going to win. Hillary's
Even
gonna win.
the conservative polls, I think, were showing that.
And so I think that's what made me pretty surprised that he won.
Yeah.
Well, the night of the, actual final voting, like all of the, the CNN. I don't know if you guys were watching it at all.
Oh, yeah.
But like
Yeah.
the entire time they were talking about, oh, this is gonna be a shoe, and like,
Yeah.
he lost. Oh, she lost that one. That's no big deal.
No, I was literally sitting there with my ex. She was a big Trump supporter, and like we were sitting there, and she was wearing like a Trump T-shirt and everything, and I was just
That
like,
must have been like
whatever.
watching the Super Bowl for her.
Was
Oh,
it
yeah.
was it orange?
No,
The
it
T-shirt?
was
Okay.
it was the, I don't know where she got it. It's like what, like
Amazon.
Run Style or one of those, but it's LGBT, and it's like liberty, guns,
Oh,
Bacon,
Texas or
Trump.
something like that. Trump.
and but like
Changes the analogy.
I remember sitting there and
anagram.
looking at her and being like, I am really surprised right now. Like wow.
But how
I didn't think
scared
that
were
was gonna
you?
happen.
Like,
I
were
wasn't
you-
scared.
I'm just
Oh,
joking.
I'm scared.
I'm totally joking.
It's like,
Because I had people who were writing like letters and stuff to like family members, like, don't be afraid,
Yeah.
don't be scared. It was like, oh my gosh.
Well, and you get like, I'm gonna move to Canada.
Like, yeah, then go. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, it's
Well, like during my little campaign, like all my little videos, you can see the little gun rack I have.
Yeah, yeah,
behind my
yeah.
head. And there was one lady. She's a very nice lady, but she sent me a message. She was like, you really got to be careful because in your last video you mentioned that you were going to be out of town and you've got those gun racks there, and there's a lot of expensive guns, and something could happen. And I, like, in the back of my mind, I was like, I wish somebody would try.
Just do it. Just do it. Just do it.
I got 2 pit bulls and a boatload
Give
of
it a
guns.
shot.
My biggest decision is going to be which one do I shoot them
Yeah.
with.
hang on, just a second. I've got just the gun.
Hey,
Yeah,
wait.
let
Can you
me-
wait right there, bro? Wait. 1 second, real quick.
Can you just maybe do a little spin real quick? I've got just the gun for
Yeah,
you.
I've got just the caliber. I don't want to use too much power.
Oh,
Shoot,
I've
yeah.
got
Oh, that's good.
this is probably TMI. I've got a suppressed SIG MPX that just lays next to the bed there with a
Nice.
little red dot on it and everything. And so I joke around that's my, like, I will kill you dead and have you buried in the backyard without waking up any of the neighbors. So
Yeah.
that's,
Those are
that's
quiet.
that gun. Well, and it's got a the suppressor on it's 9.5 inches long.
What caliber is it?
It's 9 mil.
9 mil.
With
okay.
dude, with that
Yeah,
thing with subsonic rounds in it, it
Oh.
sounds like it's a BB
It's a cap gun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Especially if you hold the slide shut.
just that every time.
Yeah, I have a 22 that's suppressed and
Yeah. I've also got
Pelican.
a Daniel Defense ISR and 300 blackout.
Nice.
That suppressor on that's like a 13-inch long suppressor.
I was to say the 300 blackout. Those things get really quiet suppressed.
Yeah, subsonic rounds in that, same thing. Sounds like a BB gun.
Yep.
Dude, that's.
But if I use that, it's gonna like go through the wall and into my neighbor's house.
Right. You don't want to do that.
Well, you put hollow point on it, then it won't.
That's
It
not
still
totally true.
probably would.
Yeah.
That's not totally true.
No. All
There's
right.
not a lot in between walls. Like
So even
Yeah,
with
I mean, if it's
even
just drywall, I guess.
Like, people
when
have
you
to be
look
careful.
at the caliber discussion that happened, I believe it was with the FBI in like 1973 when they were switching amongst calibers. One of the things they looked at is ballistic gel, and they were looking at the total penetration, right? And they wanted 12 inches of penetration. Think about you from sternum to back.
Mm-hmm.
it's not 12 inches.
It's not 12 inches, and they were doing it with hollow points, and so it had to have a minimum of 12 inches of penetration, right? So even a hollow point, it's probably going to go through you, unless you like if you're wearing like a big, thick, heavy jacket and like several layers and stuff like that. It's more than likely still going through you.
Yeah.
Unless it hits like bone or
Yeah,
like,
and that's
stuff.
the thing, like terminal ballistics.
But the
is a whole
walls, like a
friggin'
wall,
science.
like drywall's nothing, and then like
Well,
nothing else. It
yeah.
might break the bullet up a little bit. The
Insulation,
siding's going to be the
drywall,
biggest thing to
siding.
deal
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
Hardy plank, man. That stuff's tough.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Cement. That's cement. I mean,
No,
right?
and like I mean,
Yeah.
you're potentially gonna have chunks of it. They're gonna break off. Like I've actually got one of the classes I used to teach to different law enforcement agencies was kind of a tweak of the Army CLS program.
Yeah.
And so I had the opportunity to teach this to a couple different law enforcement agencies, but in that class I do a brief kind of terminal ballistics class on like this is what actually happens to a body when a bullet hits it. And we go through kind of the whole study of terminal ballistics and what it means and how different rounds react differently when it impacts the body and showing the types of cavitation and everything else.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's all super interesting stuff, but like realistically, like the crux of that class is like nobody knows. Like, you get hit by a bullet, like
Physics is crazy.
it can bounce around in
anyway.
you.
Yeah.
It can go through you.
Hashtag,
Well, I mean, look at-
hashtag JFK.
I was gonna
Bullet's
say,
gonna do what bullet wants.
Hashtag one shooter.
Yeah.
I went to that actual memorial
did you? Cool.
where JFK
Did you
got
go on
shot.
a tour?
No, but you can go and look at the autopsy photos like on the street, like they're next to the street,
Really? That's cool.
and you can go see where the bullet ricocheted out and hit the pavement and everything.
Oh,
And
wow.
It was super. It was super interesting, super
Did
sad.
you do
It's
that on the
very-
last road trip?
No,
Oh,
it was
okay.
this was when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
Like very sober. I went there with my parents, and it was really interesting to see. But at the same time, it's like you just don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're like, we think he was there, or maybe he
Mhm.
was there. But then it also did this thing. And then I was watching a few years back. They did the recreation of it for MythBusters,
Mhm.
and they actually got the bullet to do what it,
Yeah.
what they said would take more than one bullet, and got it to bounce around in this body
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Watch
Like you,
that.
depending
just-
on your angle and how many layers of clothing and whether
Yeah.
it hits bone and what organs it's hitting and everything else. Like you don't know.
The moral of the story is don't get shot.
We've
Like-
seen dudes in Afghanistan.
Don't
that,
be
like,
president and run around.
You know, they
Yeah.
they got shot side on and had a round, go in like the armpit and come out the bottom of their butt cheek. Like
yeah.
these things,
Yeah.
they're gonna do whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's chaos.
Yeah.
theory
Well,
at
it's
that
crazy.
point.
That was one of our rules. Actually, was any penetrating wound greater than a quarter of an inch was a bullet wound until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not always going to have a giant exit wound and a small entrance wound. Like
Yep.
it can be whatever it wants to be, man.
Yep.
So, final mayor question,
All
and
right.
then we're probably going to
We
shut
gotta
things
wrap it
down
up.
here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Is what would be your advice? Given some of the things you've said, could be sooner than later. What would be your advice to the next mayor coming in?
Ooh, good one.
Have thick skin,
Yeah.
and like stick to what you told people you're going to do. Have thick skin, and freaking listen to people. Talk to people.
Yeah.
I would never sit here and be like, "Oh, I'm a good mayor," or anything like that. Like I don't think those things about myself. But like the one thing I can say that I have done drastically different than any of the mayors and any of the city councilors and any little administrations that we've had before is like I talk to people. Like I have social media and I want to communicate with
Engage.
even when we disagree, like engaging with people. It's not about what I believe or what I want. It's that people voted me into office to represent them.
Right.
I'm not representing myself. I'm representing them. So even if I disagree with what the community is saying. If it's what the community wants, then I need to support it, you know? So stick to your guns, communicate with people, have thick skin. I mean, like I said, I've had people tell me, you know, I'm a bad person. I'm going to burn in hell. I had the number of ridiculous attacks that happened during the campaign. Like,
yeah, well, we've seen some of those.
Yeah. It's just got to be water off a duck's back, man. It's nothing.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. That's good stuff.
That's good stuff.
Dude, Derek, thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate you coming on again.
Anytime.
Second time. I'm sure there'll be a third time, hopefully. Jordan, that's it, man. I don't got anything else. You got anything else you need to lay down?
No.
Guys.
I don't even have a problem skipping shower thoughts at this point.
Yeah, let's do it. Guys, subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook. We're not on Twitch right now, but actually, no, Jordan and I are on Twitch.
Yeah, we're gaming on Twitch.
We're starting to dabble on Twitch.
If you want to come watch us shoot things and be really bad at it,
check us out.
You can come chat
Testing
with us.
Normal on Twitch, and we appreciate y'all. Hope you have a good night. We'll talk to you later.
All right,
Peace
see ya.
out.